extraordinary statement given by the Home Secretary in the Telegraph newspaper today. And when I saw this, under embargo, actually, us journalists get a sneak peek of the things like this that come out, you know, government official issue. And I could not believe my eyes. I couldn't believe what I was reading. The Home Secretary is basically saying police have to do policing. Yeah, that's it. She said it's not good enough that police aren't investigating crimes. From now on, police have to investigate crimes. This comes after the fact that solution rates for burglary and theft have fallen so low in large parts of the country that offences have essentially been decriminalised. So Mrs Braverman has secured an agreement from all 43 police forces in England and Wales to follow up on all evidence where there is a reasonable chance of catching the criminal. Now, of course, we've all got CCTV on every street. We've got doorbell videos, GPS trackers, witness accounts. I mean, half the life, people are walking around holding a mobile phone, filming it when someone's being beaten up. Despite all of this, get this, in the year to March, police forces charged a suspect in only 2% of vehicle and bike thefts, only 4% of residential burglary, and indeed 6.5% of muggings. I mean, that is utterly horrific. In fact, in June, the Telegraph published an article that had revealed that not a single vehicle, bike or personal theft had been solved by police in between half and 2/3 of neighbourhoods in England and Wales in the past 3 years. So basically, between half and 2/3 of all places, not a single vehicle, bike or personal theft had been solved. What on earth is going on here? Is it okay to just mug someone, nick their phone, burglarise their house? What are the police going to do? Apparently nothing. And the Home Office now saying that that's not good enough and police have to police. Well, to dig into those figures a bit more and find out what is going on and quite why the police have essentially stopped doing their job is Kevin Hurley, who's former Police and Crime Commissioner and also happens to be the former head of volume crime at the Met Police, which is exactly just this thing. Kevin, I could not believe when I read that today and looking at this article, front page of the Telegraph, and some of those statistics, it's utterly harrowing. It's like we've become a lawless society where you can do what you want with impunity.
Well, I'm not surprised in the slightest. It's very, very disappointing. It's totally unsatisfactory. But what you're looking at is the result of years and years of underinvestment in what's required now for police to operate. We had 13 years of austerity, which has done a number of things. First off, a large cutback in the number of police officers actually operationally deployed, albeit we've now got 20,000 newbies who've come in, who clearly, of course, don't know what to do. But on top of that, the demands on police are so vast and so all-encompassing that instead of police being able to respond to burglary calls or your car being broken into and do some meaningful investigation, they're off dealing with all kinds of different stuff, mentally disordered people in the street, missing persons, walking out of care homes and so on because of the cutbacks. The other problem that you've got, and this is what is really awful, is that the CID in many police forces, especially the Met, are unable to recruit people to become detectives because the job is seen as so pressurised, so unpleasant, people don't want to do it. Combine that with the fact that there is wholesale recruitment of unhappy detectives to the private sector now, so that the level of expertise amongst even the few detectives that they've got is just draining out the window. As far as I'm concerned, it's quite an appalling situation. And all we've got with Suella Braverman here is a bit of a soundbite saying, oh, it's all the police's fault. No, it's not. When you close every detective training school in the country, when you close all the regional training centres for police in the country, and then you try and say, oh, we've solved it, we've brought in 20,000 newbies who haven't really got a clue what to do, and you're losing all the detectives because they don't want to stay because the package is so poor and so stressful, we shouldn't be surprised that we've got what we've got. All completely predictable. And I played a role in trying to get the gap in detectives filled more than 10, 12, 13 years ago when this was all starting to develop. I mean, tragically, it's meaningless, and senior police chiefs also do not tell the truth and stand up and say what the reality of it all is.
I mean, one thing that surprises me is we live in an age now where so many people will have things like Ring doorbell systems. They can see what's going on outside their front doors, cyclists going around with those helmet cams on. And this should surely make it far easier to report crimes going on, because you have the video evidence that can be handed to someone. It should be cut and dry. Is there a problem here that perhaps there's way too much bureaucracy and paperwork? And also, why on earth, if we're hearing that, you know, police aren't investigating, in some instances, zero crimes when it comes to theft? I mean, even muggings, only 6% of people charged. That actually chills me to the bone. And yet it seems to me that they turn up on people's doorsteps for things like hate crime or nasty tweet.
Well, I mean, that you get small sound bites of hate crime cases that hit the media, which is tiny in proportion to the actual number of other crimes going on across the country. The real issue is police are so overwhelmed with all kinds of demands for service that there actually isn't really come and pick up on these, if you like, Ring doorbells, some of these videos from cyclists. I was there to try and get a grip of it personally, because the reason why people actually join the police to a large extent is they like to nick bad people. That's what it's all about. But there are so many, if you like, forces militating against it. You mentioned some of them before, which is bureaucracy, the elements of paperwork. So let me give you a small example. There was a time when if you went and arrested a shoplifter, you could bring them in very quickly, short reports, take the fingerprints, photograph them, bail them off to court, and you'd be out the door maybe within an hour and a half, 2 hours. These days, the whole process of the interview, of then submitting or waiting for the Crown Prosecution Service to give a decision of what's going to happen with this case. You're hanging on the phone, mate, for an hour, 2 hours to find a Crown Prosecution lawyer, because, of course, they've all been cut back. And the other problem that you've got, and it's all very well, all this, frankly, BS soundbites, is the prisons are completely full to bursting.
Yeah.
And
You've got to wait a year and a half for your day in court as well, don't you? I mean, the backlog in the courts is ridiculous.
The issue is, I mean, people want to criticise the police, and I'm more than critical because they never cease to disappoint. However, the reason the prisons are full is not because the RSPCA problem there, it's because police caught them, got them convicted. So it's a bit of a problem now when there's no room for prisons and we see people going to court with 30, 40, 50 convictions and not getting a custodial sentence. There was a case the other day, a guy was convicted for the 4th time in possession of a knife and did not go to prison with 40-odd previous convictions.
Yeah, I read that one. It's shocking, absolutely shocking.
Suella Braverman, quite frankly, is bluffing here for political reasons and needs to fix the entire criminal justice system, build more prisons, rebuild the damage they did to the probation service, re-employ people for drug rehabilitation work, get more diversionary work going, and rebuild the training establishments for police officers to teach them to investigate, because most of them do not know how to investigate.